I am now in Vegas here. I'm walking under the bridge in Desert Inn, and I just wanted to talk about one other reason why I decided to not read as I'm creating the project. I don't like to read for ideas, and one of the reasons, kind of like the original reason that I mentioned in the first videos, was that in my philosophy is my philosophy on learning. And my philosophy on learning is that you can't really learn something thoroughly unless you can appreciate the way a solution to a problem is created. If you can't really appreciate the origin of the solution from the problem, how the problem produced the solution. And the only way that you can fully appreciate it is that if you create the solution yourself, if you originate the solution yourself. That's the only way that you could truly appreciate why the solution is the solution. If somebody teaches you something and they're just giving you the solution to it, if you have a puzzle in front of you and they tell you the solution to the puzzle, you won't know the process that person went through, all the stuff that he considered in his mind in order to find that solution. And those are things that you will be missing if you keep reading books. There's people that already lived, and that's why you don't have to. Because they tell you the solutions to everything. Yes, that gets you ahead to some extent, but that also deprives you of your own experience, of your own journey to solving the problem. And that deprives you of that skill of finding solutions via the problem, from the problem. So that's one thing. So that's the first idea. And the reason why here, yes, I'm in Vegas. I'm walking under the bridge. There's a lot of cars here. So the reason why, another reason that came up while I was creating the project, when I had a problem, I considered it a problem and I wanted to find a solution, right? Another reason why I didn't read books, why I thought it useless to read books, was because I didn't have a framework. And because I didn't have a framework, it only meant that it meant that I did not really understand the problem, because I didn't understand how the problem was, the framework of the problem. And because I didn't understand the framework of the problem, I wouldn't be able to, I didn't have the framework of the solution. So when you have a problem, when you have many problems, maybe the problem is a lot of problems because it's a combination of many problems, right? And you read books, right? And so you're getting all these ideas of different solutions, right? But you don't have the framework to kind of organize those solutions. All you're getting is different ideas to different problems, to different parts of the problem. And sometimes they'll fit to make it a solution, but other times they won't, because it's all just blended together. It's all just a scramble of solutions. So, and I thought that was useless because, I'm getting so many ideas, right? But I don't know what idea is a solution to what problem, and what kind of combinations of solutions is appropriate for the combinations of what problems, and if something is a combination of solutions or if it's an elemental solution. So Reading books gives you a lot of ideas, but you don't know where to apply it or what, because you don't understand the problem really well. And to understand the problem really well, you have to spend time with it. You have to dwell on it. You have to go about it from different angles. You have to experience the problem. You have to think about the problem yourself. And people don't like that. People just like finding the solution before they like finding solutions before they fully experience the problem. Nonetheless, so I managed to create a framework. That's the practicality system that I now have. The framework's completed. And now that I'm reading books, right now I'm reading Psycho-Cybernetics by Dr. Maxwell Maltz. And I'm listening to, I'm here in Vegas and I'm listening to seminars, to presentations, and reading other books and other material. And now that I have the framework, I can, every idea that they say, I can place it within the system. Like, oh, this is element number 1. This is awareness. This is enjoyment. This one is concave. This one is, all the elements. This is acknowledgement. All the elements that are in the system, I can now consider them. I can now place all the concepts and ideas within that framework, within the system that I created, that I fully understand, because I created it myself. And so now, like, whenever I hear an idea, I can definitely place it in the system. I can definitely say, this is element number 2 and 4, or is a combination of this, and it's appropriate for a combination when a problem has this and this combination. So I was reading a book, and I find that sometimes what I'm reading, for example, I'm reading Maxwell Maltz, and he's talking about rehearsing things in your imagination in order to have greater results when you try to solve that problem in real life. You rehearse things in your head as practice, right? And to me, like, when I read that, I was like, okay, yeah, that's fair, but why would you do that? Like, I didn't see a fundamental reason why that would be a solution to the problem. And I would always wonder if that was if there was even a more fundamental solution to that. It's like, why do you have to use your imagination? Can you use something else? Can it be done automatically? Like, can you just take a magic pill? What is that magic pill? So all these questions would go through my head, and so the solutions that the books were providing, like, I didn't really trust them, because I didn't really know where they were coming from and how they connected to the problem. But now that I have the system, my own framework, and the thing about the system is that all the elements, all the solutions, they come from the problem. So I know how they originate and why, they're all justified in their own way, They're justified from the problem. And so when I read about rehearsal, then I can see, oh, that's this and this part of the system, that's this and this part of the framework. And now I can justify Maxwell Maltz's technique on rehearsing, on mental rehearsal, because that technique is part of the system as well. Not only that, but I better understand his solution to the problem. So there's 2 buildings there. I don't know, they're just buildings. They're Las Vegas buildings. Woo! So much hype. I'm trying to remember if there's anything else that I wanted to say before I press stop on this. So yeah, now that I read other books, now that I listen to other people's ideas, I can now understand why the solution is a solution. And if I don't understand why the solution is a solution, then that means it's not part of the system. That means that that solution has some element that I haven't included in the system, and so I would have to figure out that framework. But see, having the framework is important because now everything's systematized, you know? The solutions that you're getting from people, they're not just random. Now they make sense. Now they make sense how that certain technique fits in with the rest of the solutions. One, it makes sense like that, you know, like, because you have a framework now. All types of solutions, you know, depending on what solution you get, they all make sense together and they all fit in together. One. But the second reason why developing a framework is necessary is because now you understand the justifications to each of the solutions that you find. So, one, you understand, you know, because I came up with a framework through the problem. Whenever I fit a solution into the framework, that means that I understand the justification for that solution. One, because the system is all connected to each other. Number two, the system, all the solutions and all the combinations, they're all connected to each other. Whenever I get a solution and I place it into the framework, I can understand how that particular solution, or a combination of elements that create the solution, how they fit into the whole. That means that I can understand what problems they address and what else I would need to do to address another problem or the rest of the problem besides that solution that was offered, you know? Like mental rehearsal will solve some problems, but you know, because it's part of awareness, mental rehearsal is part of awareness and solidification, but you also need natural attainment and enjoyment. That is part of enjoyment. But mental rehearsal does not take into consideration the interactional elements, which are acknowledgement, surface. I guess it could all go into solidification, but you know, there's a lot more to the problem that mental rehearsal cannot solve. You know, like concave, like actual execution of the solution. You know. So yeah, that's number two. You can see how the solution fits into the whole. Number one, from the framework you can understand the justification for the solution. And number two, from the framework you can see how the solution fits into the whole system of solutions. Yeah, and that's why I thought, coming up with a system would be the primary thing to do, would be the first thing to do, because once you have a system, then you have a framework to put all the solutions, to fit in all the solutions that you hear. Now, every book that I read, they'll just construct the system that I already have. They'll build upon the framework that I already have, and all the solutions will make much more sense together, which will mean that I will be able to remember it better, and I will be able to apply them more effectively, more instinctually. Yeah, that's good. See ya. Oh, and I still haven't reached my destination. It's really hot. It's like 96 degrees out. It's nighttime, but it's like sweat heat. See ya.